We're back from our little 3-day hiatus. Some of you have probably noticed we haven't posted in a few days, and that's because the college football world has been relatively quiet. There hasn't been too much going on, which is rare. Everything's been laying low, and I pretty much expect that. I mean, it's the middle of summer. There shouldn't be too much going on in the first place. But our break from the college football news or drama, whatever you want to call it, it didn't last too long because there's more stuff that's happening right now. In this video, we have not one, but two major topics to go over. One of those including Ohio State stealing a 5-star wide receiver recruit from Tennessee and Texas A&M. Well, my bad. Hold on. I jumbled that up together. Okay, our first topic is between Tennessee and Ohio State, and our other one is just Texas A&M solely. Texas A&M has a major, and I mean an absolute major problem going on, and if they don't fix it and don't fix it fast, they are going to be in a heap of trouble. Here's the most concerning part about the A&M situation. I'm not too sure if they can fix it. If this was a team that didn't have too many expectations, I don't think it'd be a big deal. But considering the fact their expectations are through the roof and they want to compete for championships, it is a big deal. If you're new to the channel and you like college football content or enjoy this content in general, consider hitting that subscribe button. We're on the road to 200K and it really helps us out. And now without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, shall we? Okay, well, I guess technically we have 3 topics to go over, but 2 of those include Ohio State, so that's why I just said 2 in the beginning. But anyways, I'm going to show you right here this first topic. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. But Ohio State, they've been doing their fair share of work in the NIL department. Over the weekend, Ohio State had a bunch of 4- and 5-star recruits visit the program, and one of those recruits was picked up in a $230,000 Lamborghini. The coach who picked up this recruit, what do you know, he goes by the name of Brian Hartline, and I believe he is the wide receiver coach at Ohio State. I know a lot of you probably don't think that's a huge or major deal, but I want you to hear me out. It's rather simple. Whenever these coaches, for example, this Ohio State coach picks up a 4- or 5-star recruit, he's just going to look at him and say, hey kid, you like this car? Well, if you come here, you could get the same exact one. Let's not overcomplicate it. That's what's going on. It's just little stuff like that, and I think Lane Kiffin's done it before where he picked up a recruit in a Rolls Royce. It may not seem like a big deal because they're not gifting them that car, but in retrospect, it is a big deal. It's more the mental game because you know if Ohio State, they're picking you up in a Lamborghini, you know if you sign there, you could probably get one too. I can't speak for you on this, but I can speak for myself. I like being around nice stuff. Who doesn't want to hang around people who are driving Lamborghinis, Bentleys, G-Wagons, and just have nice cars and nice things? It's cool to look at and be around. You've got to give credit to Ohio State and that staff and respect what they're doing. They're not taking a back seat to anybody when it comes to this NIL stuff. It was also only a week or 2 ago when their head coach Ryan Day stated they're going to need at minimum $13 million in NIL money to compete. Why do they need that money? Because he stated that's what they're going to need to pay their starters. Coincidentally enough, it was released only a day ago that Ohio State athletes have surpassed over 1,000 worth of NIL deals in 1 year. According to the sources, Ohio State is #1 in NIL compensation and #1 in athletes with at least 1 NIL deal. So if I'm a high school kid thinking about a college to go to, Ohio State, they got to be up there when it comes to money. Now moving on to our next topic, and really one of the main topics, a 5-star wide receiver earlier today that goes by the name of Carnell Tate, he just committed to Ohio State. This is a major pickup. Do I have to explain it? He's a 5-star recruit. It speaks for itself. And he's a wide receiver, and as we all know, if you keep up with college football any, you would know that Ohio State, they're known for the wide receiver play over the past 3, 4, and 5 years. Normally, I wouldn't care or even talk about a team getting a 4 or 5-star recruit. If you've been watching the videos, you know I don't really talk about the recruiting game all too much. Maybe you do, and that's totally fine, but for me, it doesn't matter. Just because you get a 5-star recruit, that doesn't immediately make your team better. I've seen 2-star recruits go out there and help a team more than a 5-star, so I really got to see what you do on the field till I even talk about you. The reason I'm talking about this guy, though, is because all these Tennessee fans, they were excited for it, and they thought he was going to commit there. And well, let's just say that Tennessee fans weren't too thrilled and excited about him going to Ohio State over Tennessee. I'm not here to bash or criticize Tennessee fans because their actions, they speak for themselves. The only thing I'm going to say about them is I think as a collected college football fan base, we can agree that Tennessee fans, they're classless. And whoa, hold on. Before some of you volunteer fans get upset with me, that's not me throwing shots or shit at you. I'm just telling you how I see it and how it is. Whenever you throw golf balls, water bottles, and trash your own field, and you did it recently in baseball, and I know a lot of you don't keep up with baseball, but they lost a game in the NCAA tournament and they did the exact same thing, you're classless. That's not me criticizing you or being a hater, that's just proven facts. However, at the same time, I'm going to give them this. They're easily one of the most, if not the most passionate fan bases I've ever seen. Tennessee football fans have been dying for their team to be at least a little bit successful because once they are, they're going to show them so much love. I'm going to end it off right here. Tennessee fans, they are the definition of you're either with us or you're against us. No in-betweens. And yeah, I think you know where I'm going with this. Whenever this young man decided to go to Ohio State, they started attacking him. I'm going to read you off some of the comments. There's way too many to go over, but here's a few I picked out. This person said, your receivers coach literally doesn't care about you, but money talks, I guess. Good luck, kid. Under that, somebody added, facts. Imagine choosing to live in Ohio instead of Tennessee. I myself have never been to Columbus, Ohio, but from what I've heard, it's a pretty good place to live. I'm not one of those people who trash on cities and states and say, oh, that's a terrible place to live, that's in the middle of nowhere, because I think there's great places to live and there's bad places to live in every single state. Just because California or Florida, they're both warm and awesome to live, there's also some bad places there as well. I've never understood that argument with people, and it's not like this kid plans on living in Ohio the rest of his life. He's going there for football. Then you got this person saying, sad, could have been a game changer in Tennessee, now he's just going to be a quote-unquote another guy at OSU. I'm not even going to address that. You can do what you want with that information. Last but not least, let's end it off with this one. Tennessee Vol fans crying about Carnell Tate being scared to play in their conference. The Tennessee Vols are the Rutgers of the SEC conference. Okay, calling them the Rutgers is insane. That is way too far, but I get what she was trying to do there. I am very curious. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. I've always found it incredibly odd and just surreal how we see with relationships too. Somebody will date a girl for a year or two and they break up, and he starts calling her terrible names and stuff, and I'm like, dude, you literally dated her. Same thing with all these recruits. You'll have fans hyping up a recruit because he's committed there, then whenever he decommits, you start trashing him. Like, weren't you just loving on him only a week or two ago? I think that's weirdo behavior. If maybe you are mad about this kid decommitting from your school, don't say nothing about it, just congratulate him and move on. Moving on to our last and final topic of this video, we got no other than A&M themselves. I'm not gonna hype them up or give you the run through. We know what's been going on with them. They're coming off of a not so great year, and it's kind of weird to look at it because yeah, it was awesome you upset Alabama, but overall, outside of that win, the year was terrible. Nobody's really concerned about that. What everybody is gazing over was their tremendous recruiting class where they got 7 5-star recruits. It was history in the making. With the recruiting class they have coming in and a bunch of the guys they have coming back, there's seemingly going to be no holes in this team. Or is there? You see, there is one spot on the team, and not just any spot, but the most important spot on the team where there's a huge question mark, and that's the quarterback position. Every other position on the team, it looks like it's going to play itself out, but nobody knows who's going to be the starting quarterback. As we all know last year, the guy they was using at the beginning of the year, Haynes King, he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, but he got hurt in the second game, and then Zach Calzada, he took over. I mean this in no disrespect to Calzada, but everybody knows he's not the answer at the quarterback spot, but I do got to give credit where it's due. I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback play that good against Alabama. That was the game of his life, and he'll never play that good again. It wasn't just 1, 2, or 3 throws, but there was like 7 or 8 throws he made against Alabama in tight windows where I just shook my head and I had to give him his kudos. He played fantastic in that Alabama ball game, but that was the problem. Outside of that game, he wasn't too much better. He's not dumb though. He knew if he was going to come back, he wasn't going to start in this upcoming season, so he transferred. And right now it's looking like for A&M, it's a 3-horse race between Haynes King, Max Johnson, the transfer from LSU, and the new freshman 5-star recruit, Connor Wingman. From the reports and everything I've read, Connor Wingman, he doesn't really have a shot to start. I mean, he has a small one, but like I said, very, very small. He's a true freshman. It's looking like it's going to be between Haynes King and Max Johnson. That's going to be the 2 guys battling it out. The only thing that held A&M back last year, and the only thing that's going to hold them back moving forward, is quarterback play. In middle school, high school, college, and the NFL, you will only go as far as your quarterback can take you. That's the bottom line. Maybe here and there there's an exception like what we saw with Georgia last year, but 98 out of 100 times, you got to have a great quarterback to win championships. And if you don't have a great quarterback, like in Georgia's circumstance, you got to have 6 or 5 first-round picks on the defensive side of the ball, and that's rare itself. Okay, correction, my bad. Haynes King was only apparently a 4-star recruit. I don't know why I thought he was a 5-star, but anyways, we're splitting hairs. 4 or 5-star. He was supposed to be good last year until he got hurt. I don't want to beat on him too hard, but I watched him in those first couple of ball games, and it was really only one game and a quarter. And he didn't impress me. In the first game last year against Kent State, not a great team, he was 21 for 33, had 290 yards, but 2 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Not exactly what you want to see out of your future star quarterback. His total QBR was only 43. And then in the next game against Colorado, he barely played. He was only 1 for 2. Like I said, he barely even played. Look, I understand it completely. It's such a small sample size, only one game. But he threw 3 interceptions against a not-so-great team. To put that in comparison, look what Bryce Young did in his first start last year. Look what Caleb Williams did in his first start. Look at C.J. Stroud. All these other outstanding and elite quarterbacks, when you first saw them play, you was like, man, these guys are phenomenal. And I understand in that first game, C.J. Stroud, I actually remember it. He wasn't all too hot, but you could tell he was going to be good. With the Haynes King kid, I never saw that. I never saw the hype. He didn't look ready. That's not to say he couldn't have improved and he won't be better. I just got to see it to believe it. And he's one of your options to be the starter next year. And then on the other hand, and I think this guy has a great shot at winning the job, we got Max Johnson, the transfer from LSU. It's so hard to evaluate Max Johnson last year because LSU, it looked like they didn't even care at times and they were playing backyard football. In case some of you are curious, I'm going to read you off his stats from last year. He had 2,800 passing yards, 27 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. That's a great ratio, and had a total QBR 63.2. The interception to touchdown ratio, it's great, but the passing yards and the QBR, it's barely 50. The thing last year at LSU, they didn't ask him to do too much. As you see, he only had 2,800 passing yards. He wasn't asked to go out there and win ball games. I think he's an above average quarterback. I think he's good, but I don't think he's great. I don't think he's that championship caliber quarterback. And I'm talking to A&M fans here. You want to compete for championships, right? Well, here's my question. Do you really think Max Johnson or Haynes King can even take you to that level? I don't think so. And that's just me, and I can only go off of what I've seen so far. Look at all the previous champions. Look who their quarterback was. Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones. All these guys are starters in the NFL. You've got to, and I can't emphasize this enough, you've got to have elite quarterback play. And just looking at who's competing for this starting job going into next year, I don't think A&M has that, and maybe they proved me wrong, but I don't see it right now. A&M can have all these 5-star defensive ends, 5-star wide receivers, and all these weapons, but if you have a quarterback, you're not doing nothing. I truly believe they're in trouble at that quarterback position. I'm very curious. Let me know your thoughts down below, but what about peace, man?